Get ready for 8 minutes of me fangirling to death because you are watching the Joe Sona song-by-song review of Ocean Eyes by Owl City. So I know I have this album in CD form, but I can't find it. But trust me that I have it as a CD, and just by knowing that, you probably know what the review is gonna be. So Owl City was a project started by one guy named Adam Randall Young. He was born and raised in Owatonna, Minnesota, and growing up an only child, he was pretty introverted and wasn't very social. He kind of just spent his time in his room making music. He posted, according to him, his first track, Hello Seattle, on MySpace, and it went viral. He didn't have any connections, it was just him making awesome music. I gotta keep my voice down because people are sleeping. First track is called Cave In, and it's very good electronic, energetic intro. It's very dynamic with some slow parts and some fast parts. I really like the drum track, and it's similar to a lot of the songs on the album, kind of intricate, and you can hear every little percussive sound. The meaning is also very deep and inspirational. It's about going through hard times and not caving in. He doesn't just come out right and say it. He says it through many dreamy metaphors. Number 2 is called The Bird and the Worm, and this one tells a very cutesy love story. It's more acoustic than a lot of the other songs, which are just electronic. It's a feel-good song that could cheer you up if you're in a bad mood, with catchy melodies and themes. Number 3 is called Hello Seattle, and I've watched interviews with Adam Young, and he says that this is his first song, but I don't really believe that because it seems too perfect to be his very first. It has very soft, energetic, electronic sounds that are uniquely Owl City, and it can be interpreted in many different ways. The way I interpret it as is that Seattle is this comforting, restful place where you can recuperate from the struggles of day-to-day life. And it doesn't have your typical song structure of verse, chorus. Number 4 is called Umbrella Beach, and it's very exciting. It engages you right away. The way I interpret it is that Umbrella Beach is somewhere where you can hide from your troubles, but it will be hard to get there. This is a recurring motif in a lot of Owl City songs, describing a dreamy place where you can escape life. And I love the development section on this song, where it's like an adventure. There's some snappy pizzicato parts and some smooth, calm parts. Number 5 is called The Saltwater Room, and this one, again, is more acoustic than EDM. It's a very peaceful and solemn song, and it's a lot of people's favorites on the album. It's about how he feels comfortable with this girl in a saltwater room where he can escape and just be with her. I love the guitar melodies, they're very calming and catchy. Love it. Number 6 is called Dental Care, and this one is similar to The Bird and the Worm. It's a funny, quirky song about going to the dentist. It's acoustic with a little bit of an electronic tinge to it, and if you watch my other videos, you know I'm a sucker for piano pieces, especially if they're accompanied by electronic sounds.
Golf and alcohol don't mix, and that's why I don't drink and drive.
Number 7 is called Meteor Shower, and this is one of the more adventurous songs on the album. It's soft yet epic and intense, and it creates a wonderful atmosphere. It is the shortest song on the album, and it's about letting go and how loss changes people. He talks about all that in just 12 words that are repeated. Number 8 is called On the Wing, and in this song, his lyrics seem kind of random. How I interpret it as is this boy follows this girl, they have a good time, and then they fall apart. But he describes things so beautifully that just activate your imagination with awesome intricate drum machine beats and catchy synth melodies. Number 9 is called Fireflies, and you've heard this song unless you were living under a rock during 2009 and 2010. It has a catchy beginning synth sound that is uniquely Owl City and that you're probably familiar with. And it can be interpreted in many different ways, the most interesting of which I think is that it's about being young and how you want the earth to spin slower so that you have more time before you lose your fireflies or your youthful innocent mind. Great chorus. as always. Number 10 is called The Tip of the Iceberg, and this describes a winter wonderland beautifully. It's about how if we stay together and continue loving each other, we'll weather the storm and we'll keep warm. It has an awesome EDM synth development section that I just love listening to. Only problem that I have with this is that the vocals are not quite as good. They're not quite as precise and chiseled as some of the other vocals on this album. But that's still, it's an awesome song. Number 11 is called Vanilla Twilight, and this is the second most popular song on this album, below Fireflies. It's again one of the more acoustic songs on the album, and it's a bit more mournful and sorrowful. The songs up to this point have mostly been very optimistic and uplifting. It's about losing someone and the grief that comes with it and overcoming it. But it expresses the emotion in such a way that is not depressing at all. And as always, Owl City's trademark magical synth sounds. Number 12 is called Tidal Wave, and this is very energetic and catchy. It carries a very inspiring message about hope, sadness, and bravery, and I think anyone can relate to it. This is the best example, I think, of one of Owl City's trademarks, which is the intricate drum machine beats. I do not think, though, that this is a very good finisher for the album. Maybe that's because I bought it on iTunes, where it has 2 bonus tracks, which I think are much better to finish off the album. Number 11 is called the Hell Seattle Remix, and if you watched my Lady Gaga tag, then you know how I feel about this song. It's 5 minutes long and has no lyrics, but you do not feel the 5 minutes at all. It just slips by. The development section in this song is the best on the album, and I think it kind of summarizes the album so far. Like the last 12 songs wrapped in a 5-minute package. It's a good example of staccato electronic sounds followed by soft, calm pads. Lastly, but certainly not leastly, number 14 is called If My Heart Were a House, and oh my gosh. Eargasm. Fangirl. What? So good. His voice is amazing. It's very inspirational. It's very passionate about being faithful to the one you love. And it's just, in my opinion, a pretty much flawless song. So good. Okay, so you might not fangirl over these songs as much as I do. I just think the style of music and the lyrics are so unique and so original. And before you go off on, oh, the Postal Service did it first, blah blah blah. No, the Postal Service sounds totally different. But a part of why I like this album so much and this artist so much is because I have a very emotional attachment to it. These songs make me feel very nostalgic. I remember back in elementary school for like a project, I forget what, but they played Fireflies, which was really big back then, and it just something connected and it got me into music, and it also got me into making music. My favorite is very hard to choose, but I would choose If My Heart Were a House. My least favorite is also very hard to choose. I'd say Tip of the Iceberg, but these songs are very equally amazing in my opinion. I can't give it a perfect score because in my opinion there's never a flawless album and albums could always be better, but I would give this album a 98%. Those are my thoughts on the Owl City album, which came out, what, like 2008, 9? Tell me what you thought about this album. Did you fangirl over these songs as much as I did? And as always, tell me in the comments what you'd want me to review next. See ya.